think I look pretty good?
You're perfect.
She's never late, never.
You are aware that your daughter was having a sexual relationship with her boyfriend, and she could be pregnant. Maybe she ran away because she was frightened of what you might think.
Don't presume to tell me about my daughter.
Now, you've had more than your fair share of police resources. I've got real crime to deal with.
You've done nothing!
Rachel and an unknown dark-haired girl hopped off a tram here.
You noticed anything unusual about your daughter?
My daughter is always different.
So much trouble.
I'm sick of cleaning up your messes.
This movie is based on a true story. A girl named Rachel is rehearsing a dance with her partner Manny, who is also her boyfriend. The events take place on March 1st, 1999, day 1. Mr. Barber was supposed to meet his daughter Rachel, but she was not on the tram. An hour passed, and worried Mike called his wife Liz, telling her that Rachel did not show up. Liz called Manny hoping Rachel was with him, but the guy hadn't seen her since she got on the tram. Liz immediately called the police to report her daughter missing. Rachel had never been late or left without warning before. Liz continues to call all the acquaintances, but no one has seen the girl. Soon she received a call from Manny, who confessed that Rachel secretly planned to go to work today. However, Manny has no idea what kind of work it is. He only knows that Rachel was going to meet with a certain woman. Hoping to find some clues, Liz opened a box with her daughter's personal belongings. There she found Rachel's provocative photographs. It was already dark, and there was still no news from Rachel. Mike had no choice but to go home. All the relatives gathered at home. Each of them worries about Rachel but hopes for the best. The spouses went to search for Rachel at the dance school. However, Rachel was not there either. At night, silence reigns in the house, and the spouses cannot sleep. Day 2. Anxious parents came to the police station, confident that their daughter was in danger. However, the officer believes that the teenager simply ran away to her friends. The spouses search for their daughter on their own. According to Manny, some woman offered her a job. Mike promised his wife that they would find Rachel at any cost. The police continue to ignore the spouse's concerns. Rachel left only recently, so the officer is convinced that they have nothing to worry about. The spouses finally met with a detective who advised them to calm down and go home. Realizing that the police wouldn't help them, Liz and Mike were desperate. Relatives support them. In the evening, Mike had a panic attack. He is most afraid that Rachel is no longer alive. Day 3. Liz feels like she senses her daughter's presence. She realized that Rachel is no longer alive and passed out. The events take us back to 1995. Caroline, who suffers from low self-esteem and bullying at school, works as a nanny for the Barber family. While Caroline is writing a letter to her father, whom she misses very much, Rachel rehearses her dance. Caroline falls asleep and is soon awoken by the sound of a motorcycle engine. Looking out the window, the girl starts crying. Later, she overhears her mother Gail complaining about her life to Liz. According to Gail, her husband left her because of their abnormal daughter. He came by tonight to take his motorcycle. Caroline screams at the mother that she hates her. She wants to live with her father, but it's impossible. Caroline runs to her room, and in a hysterical state, writes another letter to her father, which she will never send. Caroline thinks of herself as fat, ugly, and unwanted. Gail doesn't know how to deal with her depressed daughter. In the meantime, Caroline burns the letter right in the house, watching as her mother leaves with Liz, whose family lives next door. Caroline envies beautiful Rachel, who attends a dance school. 4 years have passed. Caroline is walking with her colleague Janice. The wedding of Caroline's father, who has found a new woman, is soon to take place. For his daughter, it's a joyless event. Caroline still hasn't recovered from her depression. No doctor can help her. She doesn't understand how her colleague Irene manages to build a successful career as an office manager and take care of her family. More than anything else in the world, Caroline wants the father to love her. The girl often immerses herself in fantasies, dreaming that she can change and show everyone that she's no worse than they are. At work, Caroline had another bout of illness. Irene took her to the apartment where the girl lives alone, and then helps her take off the coat. The apartment is a mess because Caroline stopped caring a long time ago. Irene called the girl's father, David Reed, asking him to come over. David thanked Irene for her help. When the woman left, he began to blame his daughter for not keeping the house clean and for neglecting her appearance. Caroline complains about being exhausted, but in the father's opinion, all her problems come from idleness. Leaving the daughter's apartment, David immediately called his bride and suggested they meet in 10 minutes. Caroline gathered all the information she could about Rachel, whom she considers perfect. Caroline became obsessed with her because Rachel has a beautiful appearance, a slim figure and a talent for dancing. Caroline remembers how she once offered Rachel to become friends, but she refused. Now Caroline is rehearsing her upcoming conversation with Rachel. She intends to introduce herself as an employee of a psychological center and offer Rachel a job. Since the girl has always been naive, Caroline had no doubt her plan would work. Next we see Rachel, who dreams of buying shoes for $300. She confided in Manny that she would start work tomorrow, but this is strictly confidential information according to the company's terms. Manny found it suspicious, but Rachel didn't take his words seriously. Manny planned to go to the interview with her, but she assured him there was nothing to worry about. After saying goodbye to her friends and boyfriend, Rachel went to the agreed-upon place. Meanwhile, the father was waiting for her at the bus stop. Rachel met Caroline, who allegedly helped her find a job. Caroline took her to the apartment. The girl didn't like that Rachel advised her to start dancing to lose weight. Caroline kindly offered Rachel a drink, saying she had never met anyone as gifted as her. Rachel drank the beverage and tried on beautiful clothes Caroline supposedly received from the company. Then Caroline asked Rachel to close her eyes and start breathing exercises, claiming it was part of the job. Using this opportunity, Caroline attacked Rachel. In the last moments of her life, the girl thought about Manny and remembered how she danced. Soon Rachel stopped breathing. Caroline waited a while, then took off all of Rachel's jewelry and dragged her into the bathroom. Realizing what she had done, Caroline began to scream. Her mood constantly shifted from panic to aggression. Morning came. Caroline starts a new life from today. Later, she arrived at work as if nothing had happened and made a call to find out how much the ticket to Sydney cost. When Irene asked if everything was okay, Caroline replied that she had become a new person from this day on. Caroline called her own house and said she wasn't there. Irene left confused. 9 days passed since Rachel's disappearance. Acquaintances of the missing told Mike and Liz that they saw Rachel the day before with some fat girl. Liz hoped that her daughter was okay. The couple hung missing daughter announcement all over the city and later told the detective about a new lead. He just grinned, confident that the girl was out with friends. This time Liz couldn't contain her anger, telling the detective everything she thought of him and threatening to tell the press about the police's negligent attitude. That evening, Max DePile, an analyst from the police department for missing persons, noticed a leaflet about Rachel's disappearance. Caroline called Drew, Liz's brother, posing as Rachel's friend. She wanted to find out as many details as possible and see if the police had any suspects. DePile met with the couple, offering to help them. He was the only police officer who believed that Rachel didn't run away. DePile intended to publicize this story through all media. That same evening, he made a request to a colleague for a printout of all incoming and outgoing calls from Rachel. Mike and Liz have a difficult day tomorrow. They will have to speak to the press and give an interview. Caroline continues to talk to herself. The next day, Rachel's parents, her boyfriend and relatives appeared on television. Caroline learned that there were witnesses who saw Rachel in the company of a fat girl. This made Caroline nervous. She planned to clean her house, take sick leave from work, get a loan, dye her hair and run away to Sydney. Suddenly Caroline's father called, saying that the daughter of their former neighbors, the Barbers, had gone missing. David is also worried because Caroline wrote a letter to her mother with threats. Caroline can't believe that the father took her mother's side. Insulting him, she hung up the phone. At that time, DePile received a printout of Rachel's calls and was able to determine where she had last been in contact. Detective Patterson knocked on Caroline's door. The girl got scared and pretended she wasn't home. Patterson left his card under the door. DePile met with the couple and questioned them about Caroline. They were puzzled, saying that their daughter had never been friends with Caroline and had never been to her house. Caroline called her colleague Mary and asked her to return the money she had previously lent her. A minute later, Mary called Caroline back and said that the police were looking for her to inquire about Rachel. Caroline lied that she knew nothing about it. Detective Patterson came to David, asking if he had noticed any strange behavior from his daughter recently. The man replied that his daughter had always been strange and suffered from depression. According to him, Caroline was not friends with Rachel. They had nothing in common. Besides, Rachel is younger. But David does not exclude that his daughter could have done something reckless. The police immediately came to Caroline's apartment, but she did not open the door. Looking in the mirror, Caroline saw Rachel in her place. Breaking into the apartment, the police found her unconscious. When Caroline woke up in the hospital, she saw the father next to her bed. He ordered his daughter to tell the whole truth, saying that he was tired of tolerating her antics all his life. However, Caroline was now in no condition to answer questions. Meanwhile, DePile found Rachel's things in Caroline's apartment. Patterson asked David to question his daughter again about where Rachel is now. This time David was more gentle with Caroline. Taking his daughter by the hand, David asked her to tell the detective what really happened. Caroline cried, asking the father's forgiveness. Later, David gave Patterson the daughter's diary and left. The detective was shocked when Caroline tearfully confessed that Rachel was no longer alive. The body was on her father's farm. It was there that Caroline buried the one she had envied so much. Detectives came to the Barber family to deliver the sad news. The couple did not expect Caroline to be responsible. Liz could not comprehend what she heard, wishing to believe that Rachel was still missing. The family cannot recover from the loss. When the husband and younger children fell asleep, Liz went to her mother and cried. Mike also cannot believe that Rachel is no longer with them. The youngest daughter took his hand, and they hugged. Now the family has to learn to live with it. Soon Rachel's funeral took place. Manny, who lost his beloved, weeps over her coffin. The detectives were also present at the funeral. The family, relatives, and friends said goodbye to Rachel, seeing her off to her last journey. Meanwhile, Caroline awaits trial, continuing to keep the diary. Next, we are told about the real heroes of this story. Caroline was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison.